Hey everybody, Cody Menz here. It's been a little while on YouTube, but I'm hoping I have a little bit of time to do a video occasionally. This video is going to be for the two rank battle tanks, the one being the 114 SP2 and the other the Charlemagne. The tier 10 here is the main reward for the rank battle season coming up. The tier 8 is kind of like a little mini award you can buy for bonds. But yeah, it's been quite some time. I wish I could have done quite a few YouTube videos between my last one and this one. Life's kind of in the way. If you haven't caught up on my Discord or my live stream, my little one's about 9 months old now, and yeah, between juggling work, little baby, and occasionally playing World of Tanks, about 3 times a week for a few hours. Yeah, life's busy. But anyway, I'm just gonna get into the stats of the two tanks here, and also, maybe I'll play one, maybe 2 games in these, one apiece. But gameplay, who knows? Probably not gonna be too great, but we'll see. Definitely not gonna be stellar games, unlike some other people that you're gonna most likely see. In any event, though, couple concerns about this tank. I have both the Charlemagne and the 114 here, and the closest counterparts. So 114, what is this tank? So before getting into the nitty gritty, it's got a fully functional turret. It's the first tier 10 reward tank that you can actually get, say, in ranked battles and not just in a bond shop or clan wars. And the thing looks pretty darn modern. So it full 360-degree turret for a tank destroyer. It's unique in its own right, just thinking about it that way. So stat-wise, 650 damage, so a little bit lower. Most tier 10 TDs, not the lowest though. The closest to comparisons though, E4 is going to be the most obvious one, but I'm going to throw the grill in there too. You'll see why. So penetration, it's a TD, it's not bad, it's also not the best. 273, a little bit low, but there are lower ones. And then when it comes to your premium round, you have an APCR one that goes up a bit higher into the lower end of the 300s, as where compared to the, say, E4 where you're high 300s. So penetration is not its best strong suit, but let's be honest, like tier 10 TDs don't have a penetration problem. Gun depression's actually pretty decent, -7, so it's workable. It's not the best, but then again, E4 really struggles with the 6. This actually feels pretty darn comfortable with how the tank is laid out. Quick aiming time, really good accuracy. It's not as accurate as a grill, but it's not as inaccurate as an E4. In between, but 0.31 is actually pretty darn good. And this is just before you do your crews, your field modifications, your equipment, all this and that. So it gets better. And DPM is actually pretty terrific. So it's high for a TD at tier 10. It's better than the E4, better than the grill, and DPM is actually pretty good. So you got the alpha, albeit less than most TDs. You actually got pretty good DPM, not the best, but it's a kind of good combination. And then when you factor in the turret, the tank, it kind of plays differently than pretty much any other TD at tier 10. I wouldn't necessarily call it like a heavy tank because getting down here, even though it does have okay HP, like it's not super low like a grill at 1800, it's got 2000. The thing has pretty much no armor but to speak of. If people hit you in this thing, you're going to get penetrated. If something shoots you with a Hesh round, you're going to get penetrated. Already get a pretty good shot on you, you're probably going to get penetrated. This thing does not have any real armor whatsoever. It's kind of weird with how it's designed, and it looks like it's like a main battle tank basically, and the thing has no armor. But so it does have that drawback, which is where even though the E4 doesn't have great armor, it does have some. You can bounce things in the E4. It's just you have that cupola weak spot, and you can get chewed up by premium. But this thing is really much closer to the Grill 15 than the E4 when it comes to armor. It's pretty much nothing. Now mobility. This thing's actually pretty darn quick. So it's got an okay specific power. It's also got an okay top speed, so better than the E4. The one thing though that you don't see in here, so it does have really bad terrain resistance, which, depending on your equipment, your crew skills, and especially field modifications, I believe for TDs like this, you can add a field mod on there to improve that. And another thing that you also don't see in here as well is it actually has pretty much, I didn't check every single TD, but it's got insane on the move accuracy. So it doesn't really have any penalties for on the move accuracy, which is actually pretty unheard of, because when you think of like turret tank destroyers, specifically like American TDs, wargaming penalizes the ever freaking hell out of them for having turrets and having TD next to it in the video game. It's not like in real life they got penalized for, you know, being that way, but in any event though, this tank doesn't have that accuracy penalty for being a TD, even though it's labeled as one and it has that turret. Last but not least though, another unique thing about this tank, and this is the pretty much the first tank to have this huge of discrepancy based off of how they usually do camouflage here. Camouflage for most tanks is typically based off of the height of a tank. So when you're looking at the Grill 15 here, the thing's pretty tall. It's not always, you know, exact rocket science here. However, generally speaking, a lot of tanks that Wargaming balances camouflage off of is based off of the size of the tank, but also the height in some way. So the grill here, you can kind of see how high that is. E4 is a bit lower, and then you come over to the 114 SP2, and yes, it's shorter than a grill. Going over to the E4, not so much. You know, they're pretty close. As you know, 114 though is definitely larger lengthwise though. However, once you go into the comparison, this tank, for having a 360-degree turret, really accurate, pretty good DPM, the thing's got stationary camo. And let's take this off here just to do the base stats. I just want to make sure I didn't have it on the other ones. Your stationary camo is almost 17, so 16.87. And then 10, you know, while you're moving. Nearly double, you know, rounding, fudging it a little bit there. It's kind of crazy that it's that far off, to be honest. And that's without throwing, so let's throw on just natural cover to make it easy, throw on camouflage, and then compare it to the E4 and the grill in the same way. It's kind of crazy, and this is something that you might not think when you're looking at a tank this shape, this size, and you know, comparing it to other tanks. The thing has really freaking good camo, and that's something they kind of slipped in there. So 33% camo compared to the E4 and the grill, you know, basically at 20 and 18. That's insane. That's a pretty huge difference. And even moving around, you know, 21.7, you have higher camouflage while moving in this tank than you do sitting still in a T110E4 or Grill 15. It's definitely odd. I guess they decided to kind of rock the boat here and kind of switch things up a little bit when it comes down to how they balance things. But, you know, who knows? But one thing about the mobility, so getting into field mods here, which, let's close that. And throw field mods. Oh crap, I can't do it because of Reynolds. Sorry, forgot. In any event though, they do have, so for most tanks, and you know, including this TD here, certain field mods that this is probably going to be very useful for this tank. So it has really bad terrain resistance, which kind of hampers the high top speed it has, and decent power to weight ratio. So putting something on when it comes to the suspension, you're most likely going to want to be taking something for maintaining speed while crossing all terrain types, because it will actually help. And field mods are definitely going to help out this tank for kind of fixing the soft stats of it. And you know, all the other ones are basically kind of up to you when it comes to what you're taking. And personally, so like plus 4% to the engine power, for a 3% aim time when your aiming time is pretty much non-existent. they made that very good. It's another way with field mods to actually make this tank a lot more maneuverable at pretty much no reduction that is actually going to affect you playstyle wise. And then before we get into the battle, just a quick comparison with the Charlemagne here. The Charlemagne is definitely going to be a tank that a lot of people are going to say is useless, it's terrible, it's trash, it's not worth it. It does have very low shell velocity, to put it lightly. So your shell velocity is god-awful. So looking at the tank here, it is called, the gun is literally, it says, let me pull it up here, low velocity gun. It's not lying here. That's the biggest detracting factor from this tank. 597 meters per second for the standard round, 924 for the premium, and the penetration, you know, basically the premium's just flat out better than the standard round. They're both AP, and you gain basically 50 millimeters penetration. It's meant to be shot with all premium. The standard round, though, you do get used to it. It's not as bad as it sounds, but it is something to keep in mind. The tank's closest compared, in my opinion, to the 50TP prototype. Both of these I have set up just with 100% crew and pretty much nothing else on it. They both have 440 damage guns. This is a little bit more penned, the Charlemagne, you know, for the standard 10 degrees of gun depression. It's got worse accuracy than the 50TP. Accuracy is terrifyingly bad on this overall. You also have less DPM. However, the on-the-move accuracy is fantastic on this tank. The Charlemagne, it's pretty much at like a light tank or medium tank levels when it comes to the penalties, so you don't really have any bloom whatsoever. Hull armor doesn't look spectacular, however hull down, it's actually really freaking good. The cupola's small, although you can get penned in it, it is small. Your armor's pretty good hull down, you can bounce a lot of things. Maybe not like premium or tier 10 TD rounds and stuff. But it is actually pretty darn good for a tier 8. Maneuverability is actually decent. So it doesn't have the highest top speed, which is the issue at hand, because it does have a pretty good specific power and it hits the top speed fast right away. However, you know, basically it's capped with that top speed. So you are maneuverable, but you're kind of limited based off your top speed. Otherwise, though, there's not too much else when it comes to the V range and stationary. It's kind of just your... Yeah, it's just a different take, I feel like, on a 50TP prototype, and it's actually kind of fun to play, but the shell velocity really hurts the tank, to put it lightly. But yeah, I'm going to pop into a battle on this. I might pop into a battle on the Charlemagne as well. Mainly just wanted to go over the stats here, and personally, so like with the rank battles, it is, you know, with, since I haven't really made a YouTube video in a while, you know, they've incorporated a tier 9 premium. You know, it looks like they're moving into tier 9 premium land, you know, earning bonds as well as additional credits. And tier 10, honestly, premiums are probably inevitable at this point as well. And, you know, it is kind of terrifying because, you know, the track record at tier 8 and the other tiers with premium tanks is not exactly the best, to put it lightly. You know, when it comes to these two tanks for ranked, this tank does feel really nice. It's fun to play, like the gun's solid, armor is terrible, so it's not broken in a sense, like overpowered, thank frickin' god. It's not another Cody T56, which is, I think, yeah, whole nother video for that. But this tank, it's just kind of weird that it has a lot of camo, and it seems ripe for the picking for field mods too, to kind of, you can see it's pretty quick here, like it's not held back too much by the terrain resistance and stuff, but field mods will make it a lot faster because it bleeds a lot of speed, you know, going uphill and, you know, other crossing ground and stuff like that, you know, that's not like good solid ground. But you know, this tank definitely, for having the accuracy and the turret and the maneuverability and the DPM, it has a lot of good pieces, you know, to the puzzle here. And it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in the end, because it seems like a really good reward. It's unique, it's fun to play, but it's not, you know, going to basically break the game balance, thank God. It just seems strange when you have like the American tank destroyers and they get penalized so heavy for having a turret. And, you know, Wargaming saying that too, like, oh, like they're TDs, they have great guns and penetration and stuff, it's not fair to give them a turret. This thing literally plays like kind of a combination of like a medium and a heavy tank in a sense. You don't feel like you're playing a tank destroyer. It's kind of awkward. It's not like it's not a bad awkward, but you definitely don't feel, you know, like you're playing a tank destroyer. But the armor is definitely an issue. Once people catch on to this thing, you know, you're basically going to get penetrated whenever someone sneezes on you, and especially with decent penning HE rounds as well, which is definitely a concern. I'm on my sheriff account here, by the way, so people are probably going to YOLO me. So that's where I'm just doing one live, you know, recording here in one take. Chances are this is going to end badly. Especially given this map. Now this crew too, even though I'm on the sheriff account, I did kind of pop in like just kind of a mid-range crew. I didn't use the fully pimped out crew because I feel like that kind of skews what you guys see, but you can kind of tell by like the accuracy and everything, like this thing literally does not have like any bloom for a tank destroyer. Hopefully I can get any shots here. Go figure, I thought my team looking at the field was not going to be able to push the field, and the enemy basically died in the field. These grills are definitely... I feel like somebody might have just shot that. They came all the way over, I feel like, just to shoot me. Oh man. Come on, VZ55, you can do it. Oh god, they spotted me. Thank you. Oh great, the enemy actually pushed in here. Maybe they didn't shoot me. Awesome. Overall though, you know, I know this is probably the crappiest, least amount of gameplay you're probably going to see out of anybody's review here, but you know, a little bit limited on time with the whole baby, daycare, work, family life combo, but it's good. You know, I know you guys, you know, some of you, if you don't watch my live streams or keep up with anything, I'm sure you guys understand, you know, life and family comes first, but I'm hoping I can, you know, start making some videos, you know, here on YouTube again for some topics that, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to do live on a live stream. But this tank, I'll give Wargaming credit. It's definitely fun to play. Do I think it's balanced in a great way? It feels weird. Just based off of like every other tank and like TD, it feels weird. It does not feel like a tank destroyer, especially this size and shape and everything, giving it the camo it has and on the move accuracy it has. It literally could be a heavy, it could actually be a medium, but you know, I guess it's going to be interesting because for me, looking at just the camo value, which is one of the very, I guess, it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to overlook. The tank, I guess going forward, they're not balancing off of, I guess, height anymore when it comes to camo values, which is going to be interesting. Because some other tanks in the game, like I don't know off the top of my head, could probably greatly benefit from having camouflage values higher, just because, you know, they might be a little bit taller. It might give them a little helping hand. But going into the Charlemagne here, this tank I actually was able to play quite a bit on a live stream, because the NDA is up for this tank, but I figure I might as well group both the 114 and the Charlemagne into the same video here for YouTube, since they're both coming kind of packaged along in clan wars, ranked battles here. This tank, you know, is definitely going to get a bad rap because of the shell velocity, and stat-wise, it doesn't look that great, to be honest. But pitting it against the 50 TP prototype like I did in the garage, and having played it quite a bit, it is kind of fun to play. Like, the armor's solid. The gun does work, you just can't really snipe in it unless you're using the premium round. Like, it is a very premium round focused tank, which, you know, Wargaming definitely seems like they did that on purpose, you know, having the 2 AP rounds and basically the, you know, number 2 round being flat out better, especially with the shell velocity, and the first round just literally with the shell velocity here, you can literally watch it go across the map compared to what, this is probably going to take forever to load. I probably shouldn't shoot. It's honestly, I think, the slowest round, I would assume, out of a non-derp gun above, like, tier 5, I would say. Or it might be the slowest, like, AP, like, standard round. I could be wrong, but I think it is, like, out of a non-derp gun, it's probably one of the slower rounds in the game. Anyway, here's the hoping I don't get rushed here, since there's only 3 of us. Great, it's Cody T56. Wonderful. Don't get me started about these frickin' tanks. I think this is literally the most blatantly unbalanced, and I would even say overpowered, after the amount of battles we played for the community contributor event and challenges that they've ever released in the game. I am so dead here. Once they figure out that they can push on us, I am so dead here. I'm worth $1 bill, guys. Like, some serious crap here. Not everybody's worth $1 bill. God. Yep, they're about to figure it out. I see the wheels turning here. Oh god, he bounced. Oh god, he's not gonna bounce that time. I'm so dead. He got me. Well, that was a short battle. Overall, though, honestly, the Charlemagne, it's gonna be better on what its reputation is. The 114, I don't think it's too good. It's also, I think, gonna be good enough. I could see it being seen quite a bit in standard battles, just because the tank is maneuverable, the gun's solid, and it does enough. It's unique enough that I think it feels different than any other TD, but unfortunately, so like stacking it up against like the T110E4, the only thing stopping the 114 from just, oh, well, this is just flat out better than the T110E4. So the E4 does have that bit of armor. And then I'm just catching up here. There we go. Point me down here. It does have less DPM. However, the penetration and alpha does keep the E4 relevant. For things like the grill, though, where your DPM, you know, it is closer than this. You have better accuracy, you know, alpha and stuff, but your armor is comparable to the 114. I don't know. It's like it's tough to say. So like with this tank now being the first reward tier 10, you know, TD getting thrown out here for ranked, I think it fits really well on the other tier 10 TD, like balance, but it does, you know, if I had to pick this, you know, I'd rather kind of play this over a lot of them, because it feels like you don't have the shackles of being a tank destroyer. like the quirkiness of the grill's like semi-functional turret and like the penalty for aiming. Same thing with the E4 and like so many other TDs. This does not have it. It doesn't feel like it. It's like a medium tank with a giant freaking gun attached onto it. But who knows? Time will tell. Thanks for watching the video though. I don't want to go too much longer here, and nice to be back on, being able to do a YouTube video. Thanks for watching. Have a good night or good day. See ya. I'm used to live streaming so much here. Have a good one.